Coming into the 2021 NBA season, expectations were sky high for Zion, as many believed that this was the year he'd take over the basketball world and put his stamp on the league. And somehow, he's far surpassed even those lofty expectations. In his second season in the NBA, he's officially cemented his status as the superstar of the future by averaging 26.8 points per game, 7.2 rebounds per game, and 3.7 assists per game on 62% from the field. He's easily one of the most efficient players in the league, and with a PER of 27.8 and a TS percentage of 66%, while averaging just 2 turnovers per game in 32 minutes per game. These are extremely impressive efficiency ratings, especially when you consider the fact that he's got one of the higher usage percentages in the NBA at 29%. His offensive efficiency from the field has been on full display all year, as proven by the 8 games this season where he scored 30-plus points without hitting a single shot from outside the paint. Simply put, he demolishes opponents on the interior, and he can put up buckets in an instant. In fact, he scored fewer than 15 points just once this year and recently tied Shaq's all-time record for his 25th straight game with 20-plus points on 50% shooting or better. And if not for the dip against Brooklyn a night later, he likely would have far surpassed this incredible feat. Even this past Sunday, the Pels took care of the Cleveland Cavaliers in a 116-109 win in which Zion scored 38 points, took 9 rebounds and had 4 assists. And the Friday before, he scored 37 points, 15 rebounds and 8 assists, which was a career high for him in a win over the top-seeded 76ers squad. One of the main reasons for Zion's massive improvement is due to his new role in the offense as the primary initiator and his improved court awareness. He's always had the superior athletic traits and physical prowess to dominate, but this season he's put it all together masterfully, shooting 62% from the field, and is currently on pace to have the highest field goal percentage in NBA history for any player, averaging 25-plus points per game. With Zion Williamson putting on absolutely stunning displays on a nightly basis, it makes you wonder if there's still more to his game left to uncover. Zion's emerged as one of the best players in the entire NBA, as many have predicted, but he can take his game to the next level by improving his perimeter defense and extending his range. Perimeter defense. Zion's accomplished incredible things on the offensive side of the ball this season, and while his defense is still far above average, he leaves much to be desired in regards to his perimeter defense. Zion Williams' defensive stats in general are surprisingly low, as he averages fewer than 1 steal and 1 block per game. Shocking for a physically dominant player that exudes such raw athleticism. One of Zion's strengths is his tremendous burst of athleticism and leaping ability that he's able to showcase on a nightly basis. However, one area that he falls short on is his lateral quickness, as he tends to move a lot slower laterally and can therefore be late to close out on shooters. Even while he does rank among the Pelican leaders in hustle stats like deflections and loose balls covered, his limited mobility around the perimeter causes issues on the defensive end. This becomes an issue when Zion's matched up with stretch 4s or 5s, or when he switches onto a guard, as he's often caught watching the ball. Even though the Pelicans as a whole are brutal defensively, Zion's been at the forefront, consistently falling victim to lazy closeouts, unnecessary gambles, and questionable decision-making. One area in particular that Zion struggled with since entering the league is defending the pick-and-roll scenarios. You'll often see Zion failing to delay the guard at the top of the key for enough time for his teammate to recover, or misplaying the passing lane, allowing for an easy bucket. Zion's put on nothing but world-class displays offensively all year long, enough so that you could even start to throw him into the MVP conversation if his team were performing better. But one area of his game that's holding him back from becoming the best player in the NBA is his effort, explosiveness, and mobility on the defensive end. You can attribute his lack of play on defense to a variety of factors, but there's no doubt that the majority of it has to do with his effort levels and his lack of mobility. I don't think it's anything to do with his talent or his passion for the game. I just think he exerts so much energy on the offensive end that he begins to take plays off on defense and suffers from not being as agile as he could be. Many young players run into this issue and find themselves having to conserve their energy over time in order to run more efficiently on both ends of the floor. The truth of the matter is that although Zion's conditioning looks on point, He's still got more weight he can afford to shed at 6'7" and 284 pounds. If he were to drop to a healthy 260, he'd still have a massive size advantage over most big men in the league, and his raw athleticism and improved mobility would make up for the rest. By Zion improving his mobility and his perimeter defense in the process, it would go a long way in helping the Pelicans match up against the powerhouse teams of the NBA. Extending his shooting range. Zion currently takes over 80% of his shots from inside the restricted area, which is the third highest in the league amongst 250-plus players with at least 200 FGA. He's also the 7th highest free throw rate amongst those same 250-plus players, with 52 attempts per 100 shots from the field. And his 26.8 points per game has made him 8th in the league in scoring. So there's no questions that he can put up buckets inside the paint and use his size advantage to power his way to the line with consistency, though he's only made 9 3-pointers all season. The goal for the Pelicans this year has been to get Zion into the paint and use his massive frame to make contact on the way to the rim, drawing a foul and finishing around or over his defense with a swift, soft touch. But there are often times on the offensive end where plays begin to look stagnant because the defense has collapsed and Zion's left on the three-point line with nothing to do. In these situations, you'll often see Zion drive into the middle of the paint and look to kick out to one of his elite shooters. The issue is that as impressive as his assist numbers are, and his ability to drive and kick out of trouble is nothing short of remarkable, there are times on the floor when other players fail to get open or can't knock down their shots. With the amount of space he's often given on the perimeter, if Zion can develop even a mediocre mid-long jump range shot, it would prevent teams from sagging off him and clogging up the middle of the floor. Even though his passing has vastly improved and stands as one of his greatest attributes, he can take his game to the next level by turning himself into a deep threat as well as in the paint. Adding this dual threat advantage would also help to improve his inside game, as the possibility of him banging from deep will open up the floor for him to get even better looks at the rim. Another aspect to consider is the fact that a big part of this new generation of bigs involves being able to knock down shots from deep or at least mid-range. As dominant as Zion is in the paint, the odds of him continuing the level of this physical play without sustaining some sort of injury or long-term fatigue seems astronomical. For a player that relies so much on interior physical play and loves to make contact above the rim, eventually he'll need to learn to hit jumpers from at least 12 to 15 feet out with relative consistency. I'm not saying that he's got to evolve into Steph Curry overnight, but there'll certainly come a time in his career when he won't be as physically dominant as he is now and will be forced to shoot from further out. If he can get a head start on this now and slowly extend his shooting range, he could emerge as the potential GOAT when it's all said and done. Conclusion. All in all, Zion Williamson has captivated audiences since he was 13 years old, and for good reason. He's one of the most physically gifted athletes on the planet, and we're just beginning to see his potential come to fruition. His tremendous efficiency, impressive playmaking, and crafty finishing ability around the rim make him a nightmare to guard and a wonder to watch. And yet, as amazing as Zion Williamson is, there's still a few things he can do to further advance his game and throw him into MVP status. There are undoubtedly a variety of other factors that go into both team and individual success, but if Zion can make the necessary adjustments on both ends of the court, there's no reason to believe that he won't be the best player in the NBA in the near future if he isn't already.